Mitch Sylvester, minus 21. Jeffrey Rath, minus 25. A new Angus Reid survey has dropped with not great data for Alberta independence, but do we think this survey accurately represents Alberta? Let's take a look.
Well, amid ongoing debate about provincial sovereignty, a new survey shows most Albertans would vote to stay in Canada. The Angus Reid Institute found less than 3 in 10 Albertans say they would vote for separation if a referendum were held today. By contrast, 65% say they would vote to remain in Canada, with most saying their decision is definite.
I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here.
Let's bring in Laurie Williams, political analyst at Mount Royal University. Laurie, we've been following this. We touched on this last week, I believe, too. Now we have some harder numbers from Angus Reid, too, in particular. Does it surprise you at this point, or do you think this is pretty standard? What do you make of this latest data?
Well, I think most of these numbers are lining up with what we have seen. The folks that are really committed to leaving are hovering around 10%. It's as low as 8% in this particular survey. But that total of people that are considering voting for separation almost comes to 30%. And again, we've seen that in polling on a continuing basis. Now the question becomes, what are people open to in the way of persuasion and discussion, and what do they mean by separation? And so there are a lot of those folks that are in that 21% who are leaning, who might be what we call symbolic or soft separatists, folks who want to send a message to Ottawa. They want a better, fairer relationship with the rest of the country. And some are very concerned about the disrespect that they think has been shown to Albertans. And that sentiment is fairly widespread, much bigger than that 21 or even 29%.
Keep in mind, this is one survey, and we'll look at this a little bit more, but a sample size of just 979. This is the first part where this seems a little suspect. I mean, I don't know. I somewhat believe polls. I definitely don't believe all of them, but it says, suppose Albertans voted to separate from Canada. If that happens, would you stay or move somewhere else? Among those who would vote to stay, so the 638 out of the 979 of that survey, 74% of them apparently would move to another province in Canada. 3% would move somewhere outside. 23% would stay in the new independent Alberta. That seems a little radical left to me. Of the people, again, who would vote to stay, if Alberta actually did vote to separate, 77% of you would move. I mean, I've moved a few times in recent years, but I'm single and I'm a YouTuber. I have another YouTube channel. If you're not aware, that's kind of my main YouTube channel, but that's not the point of this video. I can move a little easier. I think I'm in somewhat of a unique situation. I don't think most people, if you have a family or a job tethered to Alberta, oh yeah, we would move. This seems a little high to me. 77% would move. I mean, bro. I know saying you'd move is different than moving, but still, this number to me seems very high.
To do with it. The other thing I think is really interesting about this study is the net approval of the leaders that are weighing into the debate. Mm-hmm. Mark Carney is in the lead, and again, of course, this is including all those folks that would vote in favor of separation. But what I find really striking is that Danielle Smith is underwater by 17 points on the leadership. That suggests to me that people that are in both camps don't like the way that she's dealing with this. And secondly, that Mitch Sylvester and Jeffrey Rath are at minus 21 and minus 25. In other words, the leaders of this.
We will take a look at what she just said there. Okay, to look at if you think that Angus Reid survey accurately represents Alberta, take a look at this. This is the 2025 federal election regional breakdown, popular vote in the federal election. Alberta, the popular vote, 64.8% of Albertans voted Conservative, under 30 voted Liberal. So over twice the amount of people voted Conservative than voted Liberal, not even 1 year ago in the federal election. And then we go to this Angus Reid survey that was referenced in the clip we were just watching. Okay, this is from that survey. Albertans' net approval of how the following have approached the issue of separatism in Alberta. Apparently, Carney has a +7 approval rating. And again, we just went over, he got 28% roughly of the vote in Alberta, or at least the Liberal candidate on the ballot did in the election. But apparently a lot of people in this survey approve of him relative to the people that disapprove of him, +7. Jason Kenney, +3, who to me is a Liberal as of late for sure. Thomas Lukasik, this forever Canadian guy, +3. Nenshi, +1. So all the left-wing people, plus Kenney, who I would say is left-wing, but anyway. In the favorable category, Poilievre, -8. So Carney +7, Poilievre -8. Even though in the election, over twice as many people voted Poilievre than people who voted Carney. Daniel Smith, -17. Mitch Sylvester, -21. Jeffrey Rath, -25. Bro, even people on X I saw, David Parker saying, yeah, Albertans love Mark Carney. Laughing emoji, quoting this tweet here, which is quoting the data we just went over. Someone saying, as to who to best deal with Alberta separatism, but we will get back now to this video. I mean, I don't know, man, about those numbers. To me, that looks like a lot of Liberals were polled. I don't know, like, I'm not explicitly saying this poll is dishonest, but I am saying I'm going to look at the tea leaves a little bit and at least say that seems like a lot of Liberals were polled in that survey.
This particular referendum campaign are pretty deeply unpopular in terms of those net numbers.
Yeah, so overall, again, a lot of people are just, a lot of Albertans, I think in particular, too, not super pleased about how things have been handled and where things are at, I guess, right now. What happens, do you think, Lori, now moving forward as we continue to watch, as we're going to watch and see if they get to their 178,000 signatures by the beginning of May, if a referendum will actually happen right now. But, it feels like a lot of this discontent goes back to Justin Trudeau and the previous Liberal government that was there and how they were treated. Mark Carney appears to be trying to curb that, but is that the best bet? Is the federal government still trying to, again, improve relations, or what do you think?
Well, certainly there are.
It's a fair question. It's just incredible that Mark Carney gets the incredible fortune of being compared to Trudeau. It's so amazing. Trying to be better than Trudeau. I mean, it'd be like Connor McDavid or just any random hockey player trying to be better than some guy that can't even play house hockey. So Mark Carney gets to compare himself to Trudeau. How lucky can you be? I'm not saying Carney, by the way, is McDavid.
Efforts being made in that regard, and of course, Premier Smith is pushing harder on other files as well, hoping that will please her base and shore up her base, because between the committed and soft support for separatism in her party, that's actually more than half of the members of her parties. That's a challenge for her to try to manage that collection of views within her own party. But I do think making progress on some of the things that are seen as unfair will help some of those that are in that soft or leaning separatist group. It won't convince.
This woman speaking, by the way, has a ice cold take towards the end of this video in about a minute.
Those who are absolutely committed to leaving no matter what, nothing would be enough for them. And we hear that in some of the comments that are being made by folks like Jeffrey Rath and Mitch Sylvester. But I think the other thing is there's got to be a whole lot of discussion here in Alberta amongst ordinary folks about what it means, not just what would happen badly if we left, but what's good about being part of Canada. What are the benefits? What are the real numbers that might be involved here? I think a lot of people are asking questions. If Alberta would be so much better off if we left Canada, why do we need to go to the United States to get a $500 billion loan guarantee? So I think the practicality questions are starting.
How come you didn't tell us the reasons that Canada is so great? Just brushed over that. That is a fair question. What is the pro stay in Canada argument, aside from shame, aside from America, America, America?
To edge up a little bit here. But this is a conversation that's looking like it's going to go on a continuing basis. And it's really important to note that social media is a primary source of information for the folks that are either leaning or committed separatists. And the potential for disinformation and foreign interference is very significant on that front.
Oh, come on. Everything else she said in the video, it wasn't that it was reasonable. It's just kind of the standard lefty talking points. The social media disinformation. Give me a break.
For the folks that are either leaning or committed separatists, and the potential for disinformation and foreign interference is very significant on that front. On the positive note, those folks are listening to friends, family, the people that they engage with, and that means that all Albertans in their conversations with one another can reach out and try to extend some sense of what might be the relative benefits of being part of Canada.
Lori Williams, political analyst at Mount Royal
It's
University.
so obvious. Maybe you should have just laid it out right there. But anyway, the social media disinformation. Oh, man. Surely there's no disinformation on mainstream media, right? Here's that 2020 clip. Prime Minister Trudeau protesting Black Lives Matter in the middle of the pandemic. Summer 2020, what are you doing?
Stand up to Trump! Stand up to Trump!
And listen to the opening remarks here from CBC.
Stand up to Trump! Stand up to Trump! Stand up to Trump!
And you
Again, listen to this intro.
showed up at just the right time because it is time for the power panel. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau participated in the anti-racism demonstration in Ottawa today. Some people cheered him while others chanted what you just heard in that clip, stand up to Trump. Trudeau also took a knee while listening to the speakers. The Prime Minister said earlier today that work must start now to combat systemic racism. Do the comments of our political leaders match their actions when it comes to addressing racism and systemic discrimination? We are going to ask the power panel in Winnipeg today. Nigan Sinclair.
I mean, how about the only obvious question? Isn't this a pandemic? Why am I locked in my apartment? Can't go to sporting events, can't travel, can't really do a whole bunch of anything, and Trudeau is in there protesting systemic racism? What word would you call this entire news story? What the heck? Anyway, with that said, I'll finish the video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.